Hello, how are you guys? It's been a while. Actually, I think it's only been a month, but in that month I have finished up my first year of teaching. I've had a lot of family things going on just in the past like 2 weeks that I would really I want to talk to you guys about. I can't at the moment. I'm gonna do a get ready with me when I do know more, because that will probably affect my filming schedule. Not that one exists right now, but I was really hoping to take the summer to really focus on my channel and get in a good rhythm, and I knew that once I started my second year of teaching it wouldn't be as crazy and time consuming because you're kind of in that rhythm, you kind of know what to expect. But anyway, I wanted to give an update on my Pan That palette. I didn't do a I didn't do an April update, I suppose. And I've made some good progress with this, but I'm kind of calling this my finale. I've reached the point with this palette that I just literally, I can't even look at it anymore. And I tried taking a break with it from the month of May, and I was using other palettes in my collection. I mean, I was reaching for every single palette that I had in my collection, and it felt really great. I used something different every day. I was coming up with different looks. I just felt really, really good by using other shadows in my collection. And then when I took a second to take a look at this palette, I kind of realized I don't want to use it anymore. So I'm just going to show you where I'm at. So as you can see, I have used almost half of this palette. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 shadows gone. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 left. And I'm kind of realizing that these are just shadows that I cannot stand. This shade here, which is Buck, is much, much too warm for me. It's very orange, and the sun is getting very bright because it's starting to set, so it's like coming right in this window. But this is just, it's too bright, or it's too warm tone for me, and it's really hard to blend, and it's not a flattering color on my skin tone. So I just could not bring myself to use it. I was reaching for other colors that worked a lot better for me, and I just realized I'm not going to force myself to use a shadow that I don't like. Smog here, I did hit pan on it, and after I hit pan on it, I was like, okay, I'm kind of done with you. I've done what I wanted to with you. It's nice, but it's just not my favorite shade to put in my outer corner. I have shades that I prefer much more in my collection that are a bit cooler in tone. Like I said, this is a more warm toned shadow. And not only that, I prefer deeper, more pewter type colors in my outer corner. Something that's kind of in the middle of purple and gray. This is kind of a mix between brown and I don't even know what else. And it's just, honestly, it's not my favorite. Dark Horse, I was attempting to use a little bit. I just didn't find myself enjoying it. Hustle, the pigmentation was kind of going on this, and honestly, these are all old shadows. Like I said, this is my oldest palette. I got it in 2010, 2011, so it is 7 to 8 years old. And that's another thing I was finding with these shadows. It's just the pigmentation that they used to have is gone. And not only that, like Buck, every time I put it in like my my lower lash line, my under lash line, I felt it made my eyelash, or like that area, just really itchy and irritated. When I was putting Creep here in my outer corner, yes, it's black, but it had no pigmentation, and I could not see it on my lid in like 2 hours after applying it. And honestly, Gunmetal, I never touched. This whole Pan That palette, this whole year and a half, I did not touch this color at all. At all. So I'm cutting my losses. I feel like finishing 6 shades in this palette and hitting pan on 2 is really awesome. It's the most of a palette I've ever used up. I was also attempting to use this Too Faced in the Buff shade here, which is just a creamy white. Again, I just found other white matte shadows in my collection that I liked so much better, and the pigmentation on this was just not so good. This is an old shadow. I mean, it was given to me by a friend. I don't even know how long she had it. So I'm just going to call this quits. This has been a really fun experiment for me, panning a palette. I definitely noticed what I like in shadows. I noticed what I like in terms of consistency and shade range and how I like to apply my products. And it definitely hasn't discouraged me from buying any more eyeshadow because I love to buy new palettes. But I've definitely started to look at my collection going, yeah, there's things I like, there's things I don't. And I do think maybe one day I will pan another palette. For instance, I'm looking at my Lorac Pro, which is maybe a year or two, I don't want to say old, but a year. This one is not quite as old as this, by maybe a year or two. And this one I have quite a bit gone too. I have a whole shadow here gone, a whole shadow here. This one's almost gone, this one's almost gone, this is close to hitting pan. And I just really could see myself panning most of this and then not touching like these 4 shades. So it would kind of be a similar scenario as to my Naked palette, but then I'm, you know, getting the use out of my shadows and then realizing, hey, I am not maybe as attracted to these colors here. But I've just been really enjoying this month of grabbing a different palette every day and coming up with something different. And I've even been reaching for some of my single shades and pulling my larger palettes. Like, for instance, I have this Lorac Pro Mega Pro 3. And when you look at it, it's kind of overwhelming when you want to make a look. But I'm okay with going into my collection and pulling a single shadow out and then coming in here for like my blending color and my brow bone color. So it's not quite so overwhelming. I'm not trying to put a whole look together with this, but just really honing in on like 2 or 3 shades to get the job done. And I've been doing that with a lot of my larger palettes because I do have quite a few palettes like this that have a lot of shadows. Do I need to buy any more makeup palettes? No, that's definitely a thing I don't need to do. But it's not going to stop me from doing it because makeup is what I enjoy. But like I said, this has been a really fun experiment. I definitely feel like I got my money's worth. When I purchased this, these were $48. Now they are $54. So, but when you think about it, I bought this Urban Decay single shade not too long ago, and I think it was like $24 or something like that. 2 of these, 2.5 of these would be how much this whole thing cost. So I definitely feel like I got my money's worth finishing 6 shades in here. I'm really sad to see it go, and all honesty, I might go repurchase this again. I don't know. I do have some of these shades that I've used up in here in other Urban Decay palettes in my collection. So I don't know, but this was my very first palette, so it's very sentimental to me. And part of me does miss some of these shadows. Like I missed Sin so much that I went and purchased it as a single. That shows some love. That really does. So anyway, that is my finale. Thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch. I hope you all have a great day. Be sure you hit that subscribe button and I'll see you all very soon. Bye guys.